Deciding when to end a TV show is incredibly tricky. Race to the end and you can wind up with a very clearly rushed catastrophe, but let it drag on for years longer than the story needs and you get something that fizzles out long after its audience have moved on. And so while fans will usually be sad to see their favourite shows go regardless, these 10 TV series feel like they're getting an ending that's been one hell of a long time coming indeed. I'm Cy for WhatCulture.com and these are 10 TV shows that are finally ending. Number 10. Fear the Walking Dead. There are three certainties in life: death, taxes and AMC milking The Walking Dead for every last drop. The spin-off series Fear the Walking Dead making it to a currently airing 8th season before receiving the chop is indeed impressive, being just 3 seasons shy of the mainline show itself. Fear the Walking Dead has certainly had a good innings given that it hasn't exceeded 2 million viewers per episode since season 5 way back in 2018, and during the first half of season 8 figures dropped to a brutal 460,000. Yikes. For a series that basically rebooted its cast and crew in season 4 to hold on this long despite barely registering a pulse outside of its hardcore fanbase is a testament to how much rope AMC is willing to give the franchise. Though numerous other spin-off shows are in various stages of production at the moment, it's time for Fear the Walking Dead to have its overdue dirt nap. Number 9. Riverdale. It's been something of a running joke that nobody hates Riverdale more than the actors starring in it, and with the show being renewed for a 7th and final season back in March, many remarked that the young cast members were finally free from this commitment. There's little denying that the CW's supernatural drama series started to go off the rails in its 3rd season, with a glut of increasingly silly storylines, though fans are sharply divided on whether this was a good thing or not. To some, it elevated Riverdale into the canon of guilty pleasure schlock, while some felt it strayed too far from the comparative modesty of its earlier seasons. In recent years in particular, the Riverdale cast hasn't made much of an effort to disguise their own half-joking disdain for the series, and given that many of the primary cast members are gaining momentum outside of the show, their eagerness to move on is understandable. There will be those who miss Riverdale and its flagrant trashiness, yet its time to wrap up feels thoroughly overdue. Number 8. The Connors. Given that a Roseanne spin-off without the title character could have quite easily died a speedy death, a result of Roseanne Barr's firing from the original show's revival after posting controversial tweets, it's truly impressive that The Connors was recently renewed for a 6th season. But according to star John Goodman, who should certainly be in the know, season 6 is also likely to be the last. More to the point, Goodman himself recently expressed surprise to France 24 that the sitcom is still going, describing expectations that it was going to be an 8-episode show and out, and then they got picked up repeatedly. Goodman's belief in the show's cancellation was later backed up by executive producer Bruce Helford, who told TV Line, "At this point in time, we feel like the next season is possibly going to be the last season of The Connors." Though Helford did add that the final decision hadn't yet been officially made, after a 6-year stint with Goodman now in his 70s, it feels like it's the right time to wrap it up. It's had a good run. Number 7. The Crown. Though it's only premiered back in 2016, it feels like The Crown has been on our screens for a damn long time, perhaps because its endpoint has seemed within sight for almost 3 years now. In early 2020, creator Peter Morgan stated that the historical drama series would end with its upcoming 5th season, deeming it the perfect time and place to stop. But a few months later, Morgan backpedaled and revealed that the show would indeed run for an additional season, with 6 seasons having been his original plan when conceiving the show. Season 5, set to premiere in November, will begin the show's final arc for Queen Elizabeth, now portrayed in the later decades of her life. Season 6 began filming in August, meaning it likely won't air until late 2023 at the earliest, but it's nevertheless reassuring to know that the acclaimed series has an endpoint. Despite the sure temptation to drag the show on in an attempt to forensically detail every major event in Elizabeth's life up to her recent death, it's good to know that Morgan will be employing a little restraint. Number 6. Billions. It's typically a sign that a show is circling the drain when the lead actor leaves, and in the case of hit drama series Billions, Damian Lewis departed at the end of its 5th season in 2021. The void has subsequently been filled by the great Corey Stoll, though the show's ratings have noticeably dipped since Lewis made his exit, ensuring it wasn't much surprise that Showtime decided to can the show after its upcoming 7th season. For many, Billions ended when Lewis left, and these 2 additional seasons are basically an unnecessary, if still moderately amusing postscript. The final season will, however, bring Lewis's Bobby Axelrod back into the fold in a limited capacity, appearing in 6 of the 12 episodes, as Showtime presumably hopes it will help it go out with a bang. Billions won't be the true end of the franchise though, as the network is currently developing 4 spin-off projects, including 2 so obviously titled they verge on self-parody: Millions and Trillions. Really? That's the best you've got? Number 5. Sex Education. Though 4 seasons might not sound like much on paper, for a show focused on the students of a sixth form college, it's certainly plenty. Given that most students spend only 2 years in British college education, Sex Education's 4 seasons have taken place within a compressed period of time, despite the seasons airing over almost 5 years. Yet with the cast members starting to get noticeably too old for their characters, and the likes of Emma Mackey and Ncuti Gatwa busy with their increasingly successful acting careers, the upcoming 4th season absolutely feels like the right place to wrap things up. Netflix certainly could have attempted to milk the hit comedy show for another 4 seasons, perhaps even pulling a Skins and reshuffling the core cast to diminishing returns, but they impressively made the integrity call and agreed to conclude things before it becomes a shadow of its former self. Number 4. Stranger Things. On paper, Stranger Things doesn't feel like it's majorly outstayed its welcome, but due to both the big budget nature of its production and the pandemic, its 4 seasons to date have been spread over 6 years. One of the key problems with the show in recent years has been the passage of time. The 4 seasons to date have taken place over just 2.5 years, despite the central cast members having all noticeably aged considerably more per the series' shooting schedule. And though season 5 will reportedly have a time jump of some sort, it feels like the credibility of these youngsters both being youngsters and remaining in Hawkins will reach snapping points if it continues on much longer. Plus, season 4 so brilliantly set the stage for an epic apocalyptic final season that going on any longer would feel like a massive mistake. At least in that regard, the Duffers appear to have mapped things out and conceived season 4 and 5 as effectively a 2-part finale centred around the villainous Vecna. Here's to hoping they stick the landing. Number 3. Archer. If you're only a casual Archer fan or aware of it in passing, it's easy to miss that the hit adult animated sitcom has been on the air since 2009 and lasted a stonking 13 seasons. Though the series has gained relatively consistent acclaim and maintains a passionate fanbase even with linear TV ratings declining, the death of Jessica Walter in 2021, who plays Archer's mother Mallory, seemed to signal the beginning of the end of a show that had simply struggled without her. Even with Mallory being given an effective exit, the dynamic without her is fundamentally different, as evidenced by the more divisive recent 13th season. And so FX's decision to end the show with its soon-to-premiere season 14 is absolutely the correct decision. Archer got to have its time, but without Walter, the special sauce is missing, and by closing up shop before it becomes a shade of what it once was, it will secure its legacy as an all-timer of animation. Number 2. The Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale was an undeniable cultural juggernaut during its first 2 seasons, at once a massive critical and award success, and a watercooler show that everybody was talking about. Yet the series, adapted from Margaret Atwood's 1985 dystopian novel, is also another classic case of a hit TV show that just didn't know when to stop, as it became clear with each passing season that the narrative was being artificially elongated past its natural endpoint. Since season 3, The Handmaid's Tale has frustratingly spun its wheels time and time again, enough that even Elizabeth Moss's outstanding performance can't entirely prop it up. And so there was a sense of relief when Hulu recently announced that the 6th season, due to air next year, will be its last. This runs counter to showrunner Bruce Miller's original vision for a 10-season run, which, given its current trajectory, would surely have been excruciating. That won't be the absolute last we see of Atwood's universe on the small screen though, as Miller is already prepping an adaptation of her recent sequel novel, The Testaments. And number 1, Cobra Kai. Who could have ever predicted that a continuation of The Karate Kid, initially produced for YouTube Red before moving to Netflix in season 2, would not only be a modest hit, but a genuine ratings and Emmy-nominated phenomenon? At the start of the year, Cobra Kai's showrunners confirmed that the martial arts dramedy series would end with its upcoming 6th season, fulfilling the 6-season plan that they had been working from all along. And though Cobra Kai's quality certainly hasn't dipped across seasons, this absolutely feels like the time to tap out. Season 5 itself clearly began the winding down process, and now season 6 can hopefully bow out in gracefully satisfying fashion. Though there isn't a ton left to be wrapped up, the upcoming final season can effectively be a bit of a victory lap for the cast and writers without overstaying its welcome. That the future of the Karate Kid franchise turned out to be a low-budget, decades-later sequel series is something few surely saw coming when it launched back in 2018. Now all they have to do is stick the timely landing. Cool, hopefully that works. And that's the list. Let us know what you thought of this video down in the comments below. Which of these shows are you going to miss the most when it finally does end? And let us know of any other shows that are currently ramping down. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I've been Cypher What Culture, and have a good week.